Chris Broussard needs to be flogged in the town square. This is part 2, and it's frightening. Obviously, now I'm recording this after I've finished the video. It's frightening how correct I was predicting all the garbage that was going to come out of his mouth and how it matched up to what came out. Stop being so predictable. All of you media people are so predictable. Anyway, here we go.
And this year, I guess it's reinstated from 2004. I never even remember this, but they have a most valuable player award for the player who, was the best.
Go take care of your digestive issues and get back to us when you're ready.
In the Olympics, which Martin, I don't like that. I think in the Olympics, team sports, it should just be about the gold medal.
I agree. He's correct. But this Olympics hasn't been about the gold medal, the whole Olympics. This Olympics has been about LeBron James from the beginning to the end, from the constant glazing from the 2 carefully selected Clutch Sports announcers covering the games, to Nick Wright saying he cares about LeBron's legacy more than the United States, to LeBron being the flag bearer for reasons I can't fathom, to LeBron James getting lumped into the good performances of other players, just like during the regular season with Anthony Davis. So-and-so and LeBron combined for blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's the team. I don't like that there is an MVP. There shouldn't be an MVP. But of course there is one, because it's all about individuals now. And none more so than the individualism of LeBron James.
Because one of the great things about these dream teams and redeem teams and all that is that guys don't care about the stats.
Well, obviously that had to change, because you have Mr. Check My Stats on the Olympic team. Mr. Check My Stats in order to be impressed by my game, because just watching it isn't going to impress you.
Well, especially, Chris, not real quick, when you look at the Team USA that's established, right, and it's not necessarily true for all the other international teams, but Team USA, you got guys who are changing the way they play to fit into this whole picture of the team, right?
Boy, does that sound familiar. All of LeBron's teams? All of LeBron's teams, where you take these superstars and then reduce their roles in order to try and lift the guy that doesn't actually deserve all the accolades. Reduce everyone else to lift this guy. I mean, it's happening now in the Olympics for LeBron's sake, and it's happened in the NBA pretty much his whole career for LeBron's sake also. But beyond the LeBron criticism, yes, an MVP is pointless when the guys aren't going to be able to showcase what they're the best at, because you took all these superstars. They're all going to have to change their games in order to play together, in order to fit in together. All of them except one guy. Again, who gets the easy rebounds, who gets to make the layups, and who gets to be called the glue.
And he hasn't led them in scoring in any of the games, the 3 Olympic games. The other ones, remember, were exhibitions. But I think LeBron is probably the MVP.
All right, a couple of things here. When Broussard talks about LeBron, he always ends up complimenting him, despite the fact that he already said that this isn't something that should exist. This MVP award should not exist, but it does. And LeBron will get it, and the people that are longevity stat people are going to say, look what happened in the Olympics in 2024. Look at this piece of paper. It says he was the best on the team, so it has to be true. Note that he also said he hasn't been the highest scorer, and you don't have to be the highest scorer to be the MVP, but I guarantee you, if LeBron was the highest scorer, they would say that that's a clear indicator that he was the MVP. But because he's not, They're going to go with, guess, glue, facilitation.
Because the floor game he's playing is tremendous.
Bingo. And you know what's really convenient about saying that he's the floor general or the facilitator? It's a little bit abstract. You know, if you want to say that he was instrumental in something that happens a couple of plays later, then you can say that. And it's hard to prove one way or another. Like the ball can move 2 more times and then be given to a guy who makes a tremendous independent move. And they can, and they do say that all started with LeBron James. When you consider that if LeBron was the most recent person to pass the ball to the scorer, a more direct assist, they're also going to say that's all about LeBron James. It starts to become clear that it's unfair. Whether it's a direct result of a pass from LeBron James or if it's something that happened later, it could be a possession where LeBron didn't even touch the ball, and they'll say his presence alone was important to that play. It's an abstract concept that you can argue. It's not easily provable or unproven. That's pretty convenient when you have to make generic compliments.
Yeah, he's playing. I think he's the glue. He's the one bringing everybody together.
My God, how many times has the guy who brought everyone together been an MVP in the history of the NBA? Unless you're talking about LeBron James, in which they changed the criteria for him. But like I already said, it's hard to prove that he's the guy bringing everyone together. This squad, these guys, these professionals, the divas as they may be, are leaders on their teams, but they would have just crumbled without LeBron James holding them together. How ridiculous.
He's been their best player, I believe. And so here's the question I want to throw out at you, Martin, that many people are asking. Is LeBron still the best American player?
So this is after he confesses that he's not the best player in the world. But because you asked this ridiculous question, as I already said, I predicted. I didn't even have to listen to this. I already said it in the first part of this video. You have placed in the minds of the weak-minded or the people that want to believe this that he is. Whether it can be proven or not, the damage has been done. And that's why you are on the Clutch Sports payroll.
No, he's not. Especially when you consider...
Well, at least his co-host said that, but it's a precursor to damage.
But the thing is, though, is he the best player on this team? Should he deserve the MVP? I think he definitely deserves the MVP because, as you mentioned about his floor game.
Self-researched NBA facts, I have an assignment for you. Let us know how many times in history someone's glueness has earned them the MVP. I mean, it's probably happened. But even if we consider Magic Johnson, he was doing more than just being the glue. Not that I even concede that LeBron is the glue or that anyone else couldn't play the part of this so-called glue. I mean, he's at the top of the key, catches a pass if someone throws it to him and then throws it to the next guy. Stop. Just slow down. But this gets a lot worse. But I wanted to throw out that assignment for self-researched.
And his style of play allows those guys who are...
Sweet God. Here it comes.
If he's on the ball, it allows everybody who is a great shooter to really play well. That's part of the reason why Devin Booker has been out there.
This is so offensive. This is so dumb that it's offensive. Like the idea that these great players needed LeBron in order to perform well. Well, that's dumb by itself, but it's not even true. Like these guys, just like the superstars that go on to LeBron's NBA teams, have been reduced versions of themselves, not better versions of themselves. They are reduced versions of themselves yet again. Curry finally decided to help out and took more shots and saved Team USA in this most recent game. But for the most part, throughout these Olympics, people have been reduced to lesser roles and have barely even had a chance to ever get any chemistry going. Not chemistry so much as rhythm. You know, you're in, hey, maybe LeBron will let you take a shot or two and then you're out. If LeBron made these guys better, we should be seeing a new side of these players. Like, we should be saying, wow, I knew this guy was good, but I didn't know he was that good. That's not what's happening. We're saying, what's wrong with these guys? We're saying, why does Team USA look so bad? We're winning anyway. But like I mentioned on the Wednesday show, I'm not really impressed with how the rest of the world that we've been matched up against has been looking. I'm not. I'm not trying to be offensive, but man, there's been some not so great ball play from the countries we've been facing, especially in the second half and the fourth. So the fact that it's still close when we are outmatching them this much is not a reason to be impressed by LeBron James's floor work. But I will reiterate what I just said. We should be saying, wow, look at him in the Olympics versus, man, I thought these guys were better. You cannot say that LeBron James is making these guys better or empowering them to do what they do when most of these NBA players have been shells of themselves. And you know when Kevin Durant shines, he's not on the floor with LeBron. And in the case of Steph Curry recently, he had to overcome LeBron and be the hero himself.
There's nobody blowing by him. And if there is somebody blowing by him, you got either Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, or Joel Embiid behind you to go ahead and take care of that and clean it up.
That is an absolute lie, the first part. I showed plenty of clips just in the games I broke down of LeBron James getting blown past when he actually guards the guy with the ball. 90% of the time, he's guarding a guy who doesn't have the ball or is floating with the help defense. And unfortunately, LeBron's help defense doesn't come with any help when you need it. Stop complimenting his defense. It's outrageously bad. I'll say it's looked better in this Olympics. He's willing to give a little bit more effort more often than you see in regular season NBA. But no, don't go so far as to tell lies. And then to follow that up by saying it's okay even if he does get blown by because we have such great rim protectors. Well, you're kind of acknowledging the necessity of those great rim protectors because of the poor perimeter defense. So which one is it?
Right. Yeah. He doesn't have to play the same level of defense he'd have to play in the NBA, nor honestly the same level of offense.
I have to stop this really often because they sneak so many little lies in by inferring things that aren't true. LeBron didn't play great defense in the NBA, so saying that he's able to take a break during the Olympics compared to that is just completely false and misleading. He also was not the best offensive player on his team. Anthony Davis was the best at both ends, but I'll lose some people here. LeBron James was not the second best scorer or the third best scorer. LeBron James took the most shots and often ended up with a lot of points, but it was detrimental to the team. You know, ending up with the most points is not always a sign that you were helpful. It could be a sign that you hurt them. And the number of turnovers that he had, that's what he led the team in consistently. And that's very damaging to the team. But here we are, listening to how LeBron was able to take a break from being the man during the Olympics. Now, if we were to agree that he was the man during the NBA regular season and doesn't have to be that here in the Olympics, how is that an argument toward him being the MVP? You just said that the guy's able to coast because he has other guys on this Olympic team that can do it for him. And yet this is going to equate to him being the MVP.
Because his team is not required for him to be both the best scorer on the team and the best passer on the team.
Well, I already covered this, sort of, but I gave my arguments for why he wasn't the best scorer, even in the regular season. And he's clearly not the best passer. He's a terrible passer. His turnovers, yeah, he gets a great pass every now and then, people. You don't get to instantly put him on the Mount Rushmore of passers when he has an equal number of bonehead passes. And in between the bonehead passes and the great passes are a bunch of pretty terrible passes. And several passes that are called amazing that are, if he doesn't make that pass, he's not even a basketball player. It's just over glorification again. But here's when Rob starts to deserve a flogging.
Jordan, I don't know if it's his first or second season with the Wizards. He had several 50-point games with the Wizards. Now, he wasn't the same Michael Jordan, but that shows you, like, when you get older, you can still do it in spurts. Whether that spurt is a part of a game, an entire game, an entire week or two, you can still do it in spurts. When you get older, the problem is you can't do it consistently for 80 freaking games and then the playoffs. And so this is perfect for LeBron.
You disgusting piece of trash. All that just so that you could set up that it's okay for LeBron to have lost a step, to maybe not be the guy, to maybe not hustle every play because other people have got your back. You're arguing that that same guy also deserves the MVP. And you set it all up by saying that Jordan couldn't do it all once he was older, despite the fact that he had some great games. What you won't see, it's pretty hard to deny that people lose a step as they get older. What you won't see is Michael Jordan taking off plays. And again, he had another 82-game season at that age. And the season that he didn't, he had a serious injury. How dare you compare the two of them in their effort levels? How dare you use that as a way to excuse that LeBron doesn't have to be that great in the Olympics? Not to mention that you're also saying he deserves the MVP while excusing that he doesn't have to be that great.
Like 6 games, fairly spread out. When you play, you're only going to play about 25 minutes or so.
Again, it's not a good point because this actually does resemble LeBron's regular season. The games are spread out enough. The game schedule is soft enough that when you add to it LeBron's fake injuries or his intentional load managing, he has a bunch of nights off in between games. He doesn't have to do that much work when he's on the court because of his teammates. You know, he's playing maybe 10 more minutes a game on the heavy nights, but those games are stopped constantly, with play reviews, with timeouts, with challenges.
When you go to the bench, you got so many great players on your team that they don't lose the lead. So it's not like you have to come in and regain the lead.
Again, so much sneaky deceptiveness here. We'd seen, and I've shown and broken down, that LeBron's squad usually gets Team USA in a hole, and they have to climb out of it. So don't talk about it's nice that LeBron doesn't have to come in and regain the lead. And even in the later parts of the game, when LeBron comes back in, their lead diminishes. This has happened so many times in the Olympics already that I've been able to break it down just by grabbing whichever segments I felt like watching. So again, don't turn around and act like, oh, what a nice change for LeBron. He doesn't have to come save Team USA. Team USA's been saving LeBron. But you're complimenting him and trying to confuse people that it's the other way around.
That. And the minute you play, Martin, offensively, that's where you can kind of rest.
Holy crap. So now the guy who deserves MVP, you're saying, is actually kind of resting on offense, thanks to how good the rest of his teammates are. How is that an argument toward MVP? How is that even an argument toward him being the glue? He's kind of this dude up there that is standing around, and throw the ball to him, he'll throw it to someone else. And you know what? Sometimes he'll lob it to AD. He's still just standing there. I mean, lobbing it into AD over these other teams is not that challenging. I'm sorry. But putting all that aside, the bottom line is that he just acknowledged, basically, that he is kind of resting on offense and isn't required to do that much on offense or on this team in general. It just came out of your own mouth, man. And then you're turning around and saying, because of the glue that he provides while he's resting on offense, apparently, he should get MVP.
Yep.
You got so many freaking weapons. You don't have to create everything.
Oh, see, I cut him off too soon. He was continuing to make my point for me. You have so many weapons. You don't have to create everything. No, in fact, he's not creating very much at all. He's the glue, the guy who passes to the people that make it happen, or receives the pass when they outlet it to him. LeBron is amazing. Cherry picking.
But when LeBron gets into the 82-game NBA season, now that's what you said. Guys will be blowing by him a lot defensively.
Two things. Number one, don't talk about the 82-game season as if it has anything to do with LeBron James. LeBron James hasn't sniffed 82 games in ages. He's only done it once in 21 years. 21 times to try and achieve that, and he did it once. Do not even talk about 82 games while talking about LeBron. Stop it. Two, now you're acknowledging that he gets blown by. Now you're acknowledging that he gets blown by, but you want to have a conversation that he might be the best American player. We're not just talking about the Olympics. You want to use the Olympics to have a conversation about him being the best NBA player who's an American, while acknowledging that he gets blown by. Well, we're just going to pretend defense doesn't matter then when we're talking about the best player, I guess. And by the way, you're lying about him not getting blown by in the Olympics. He is.
The European players, as great as some of them may be, they're not the athletes, speed, quickness that you see in the NBA. And so they're not just blowing by LeBron or blowing by anybody in that regard. And so that's another reason he can shine in this situation.
This is amazing. The way that he's contradicting himself without even realizing it. Like, he's saying that the international competition is inferior and therefore that allows LeBron to look better. Wow. Now let's say that that's true. And I kind of have to agree that just the competition hasn't looked that great. But if you take that argument and then we go back to the NBA, because he's trying to say, they're talking about whether he's the best American player, you just admitted that the place that LeBron can shine is when he's not facing other American NBA players. You just said that he can't handle American NBA players. But you want to talk about whether or not he's the best of them. There's only so much of this I can take. I listened to a little bit more, and I'll tell you that they decided that Anthony Davis is probably the best American player in the NBA. And yet Anthony Davis didn't get respect on the Lakers. Anthony Davis wasn't given the in-season tournament MVP that he deserved. He wasn't given the 2020 Finals MVP that he deserved. He only got ranked one spot higher than LeBron James in the All-NBA teams. That's absurd. That's absurd. And here we are talking about LeBron James. Probably deserves to be the MVP of the Olympics when we have Anthony Davis once again doing it at both ends. Have you seen how Anthony Davis is running up and down? It's really quite impressive. Anyways, could go on forever with this. It doesn't add up, Broussard. It doesn't add up, but you put it out there. You put it out there, and now it's in people's brains. And I bet by the next show, you're going to change again. Maybe find an excuse to say LeBron is the best American by the next show. And amazingly, he even found a way to disrespect Michael Jordan in all of this. Just amazing. Okay, I'm going to go throw up now, everybody. I hope you enjoyed.